Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and today we're doing another Women of Horror Spotlight. Today I have with us, she's the author of two anthologies, books that are right now out on Amazon. By the way, the links are down in the description, so definitely click on those. And the first one is called Horror Over the Handlebars. And the second one is Necronami Rom-Com. I have with us Bert Piedmont. Bert, welcome to the Horror Room.
Hello.
All right, so I understand you're the editor on both these books. Tell us a little bit about the first one, which is Horror Over the Handlebars.
Okay, I edited this with my friend John. We're both members of the Horror Writers Association, the Connecticut chapter, and we're just talking about trying to do a local anthology with a lot of writers we knew, and we wanted to make it set in Connecticut because we're from Connecticut. And, you know, the whole thing about, you know, like kids on bikes and like It and Stranger Things, that just seemed like something that's really in right now, so we decided that that would be the theme. And unfortunately, there's already a role-playing game called Kids on Bikes, which was our initial title. So we changed it to Horror Over the Handlebars because we didn't want to get into any sort of infringement with them. And, you know, we put out a call for not just people in our local group, but, you know, anybody that had any connection, writers that had connection to Connecticut. And we got tons of really great stories. We had a wonderful time putting it together, and it's been really successful. In the first week, it went to #3 in new horror anthologies on Amazon.
Nice.
And whenever I bring it to a show, people are, you know, intrigued by it, and it sells really well. The stories are kind of run the gamut of all different types of horror, but they all kind of include, not all of them have literal kids on bikes, but they're all coming of age and feature kind of younger protagonists. And it's just really fun. And though John has decided he's not interested in being an editor of anthologies anymore, I'm going to continue on with the series, which is called Yankee Scares. And I have about 4 more topics planned out. So I'm going to try to do one every year for like the next 4 or 5 years. And they'll all be set in Connecticut.
Now, so when authors, when you put this on the call out and authors decide to start submitting their stories, have you ever ran into a situation where 2 stories are almost similar?
No.
No? Okay.
Not at all.
That's the thing.
I mean, if they were, I would have to decide. I wouldn't want two that were very much alike, so I would have to pick one.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like for Necronama Rom-Com, I did get 2 that featured furniture, or as I call them, the 2 fuck chair stories. But they were so, I know, who would think? And I did take them both because other than being about sex chairs, they were wildly different. And it was just the coincidence of getting 2 different stories that featured sex furniture, which I thought was hilarious. But that was really, you know, it was just too funny. Yeah, exactly. So, you know, that was the only thing they had in common. They had nothing else in common at all, except they were about a piece of sex furniture. So, yeah. So that was just a teeny, and they ended up in, one is in the light volume, one is in the dark volume, and they're super different stories, except for being about furniture. So I had no problem with that. And I found it hilarious that I got 2 stories about furniture.
Now, Bert, you have a tough job, which most people don't know about, and that's as a editor.
It's terrible.
As an editor.
Terrible. It makes me cry sometimes.
Because I mean, authors see, you know, their stories as their babies, and you know, if you're an author, you need a great editor because a great editor can take your story to a whole nother level. But at the same time, one of the tough parts of being an editor is you might have to trim some things. You might have to switch some things. Is that tough? Is that tough, especially with indie authors?
Part of the thing is, like, you know, I'm doing a third anthology right now called The Atlas of Deep Ones with another co-author. You can't take every story that's good. You know, you get hundreds of submissions. Number one, you can't afford it. And number two, there's just not space. That's how Necronama Romcom ended up 2 volumes, because I got so much that was good. I took almost 50 stories. I'm never going to make my money back. No, I'm good at selling. It's going to be 10 years, you know? Yeah. But you have to, you know, make your list. I make a spreadsheet and I put things that are absolutely no in red and maybes in yellow and absolute yeses in green. But it's possible that some of those absolute yeses, unfortunately, might drop out because it starts to be, things start to fall into a pattern, and there might be a story you love and it just doesn't fit in, and you have to let it go because it's just going to be jarring with everything else that you picked out. So it's, you know, if you send in a story to an anthology that you think is really good and it gets rejected, it might not have been rejected for being a bad story. It might have been rejected for being a bad fit. And that's really hard. Like, and as an author, that's something that I've learned, because I've had stories that I know were well written, that I thought went along really well with the anthology, and they've been turned down. And that I wrote for that call. Like, they said, put XYZ, and I wrote XYZ, and they were like, yeah, no. And I'm like, okay. And then I read the final anthology, and I'm like, oh, it wouldn't have gone in there. You know, I get it. My story would have stuck out like a sore thumb. And then I send it off to someplace else, and someplace else buys it and they love it. So, but that's hard. That's hard, because I get it. I hate breaking people's hearts. I hate to read a story and be like, I got to say no. I got to say no to this. You know, and that's hard.
I can imagine. Now, do you actually give them feedback when you give them?
I can't. I get too many. I just have to say, sorry, this isn't a fit, and I can't take it, and send it somewhere else. I mean, and I get some stuff sometimes that isn't even appropriate, and I want to blast the people, but that's not professional, and they get the same letter that says this isn't a fit. And I want to say, what is your fucking problem? Why did you send me this? But that's unprofessional.
So we say inappropriate. Do you mean it doesn't even fit the mold of the anthology, or it's just off the wall, fucking crazy?
It doesn't. Like, I mean, I make you fill out a whole form in Google where you're like doing check boxes saying, yes, it fits. Yes, I live in Connecticut. Yes. And people completely lie and send me stuff that has nothing to do with the call.
Wow.
And they're just wasting my time, and it's rude. And to me, I don't understand why you would do that. I mean, I had a story that was perfect for a call, and I was so excited. I'm like, I can't wait for this call to open. I got the story. It's about mushrooms. They want stories with mushrooms in it. And then I went to the call, and they had a hard cap, 3,000 words. My story was 3,800 words. I didn't send it. Because that's what you do.
Yeah.
I'd already cut it down from 9,000. I knew I couldn't cut 800 more words out of it. So, that's what you do.
Yeah, I mean, that's so unconsiderate, because, like, that individual is actually reading your stuff, and you're wasting their time.
Yeah, you totally don't. I'm going to tell you that. Don't do that. I have a list already. I have a hit list of people. I won't read your stuff if I see your name come through. I already have a hit list. 3 anthologies in, I have a hit list. If I see your name, I'm not reading your stuff. You're going right in the red. Because you've already wasted my time too many times. Because you're sending in stuff every single time I put out a call, and you're sending me garbage.
Now, why do you think people do that?
Arrogance,
or
they're asshole. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know, but it's really sad. I had heard that people have a hit list, and I was like, you don't really have a hit list as an editor? No, you do, because I have one.
Wow.
And that makes me sad. That makes me sad that I have to do that. You know, I got something from one of those people for this call, for this Deep Ones call. And I put a note to a co-editor, and I said, I don't want to work with this guy.
Jeez. Now, Bert. Well, one thing I don't want to jump to the other book. One thing I've asked a couple authors recently about this. I follow the indie horror author community pretty well through social media. What the hell is going on? Where's all this toxicity and crazy shit and backstabbing and drama coming from recently?
I think people are insecure. I think people think that they're better than they are. And I don't know. I don't think I'm better than I am. So I would like to think that I'm not participating in it. Notice I'm not naming any names.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't understand it. Every once in a while, I'll be, seeing something on Facebook, and they'll be like, oh, so-and-so, blew up. And they said blah, blah. And I'm like, really? Who now? What did they say now? Why are people going on Facebook or going on Instagram or whatever and cutting their own throats? Like, this business is hard enough. Don't say stupid shit. You know what's wrong to say. People say stuff about women. They say stuff about minorities. They say stuff about LGBT people. Keep your mouth shut if that's really what's in your head. How hard is that to do?
And I totally agree, because, and a lot of them are doing it on their actual professional author social media page, too. Which makes me scratch my head. I'm like, why the fuck would you do that? Like, that is supposed to be for your professional page for your business. Because as an author, it's your business.
Yep. Like, I don't even try to put anything political on my business page. Like, I don't even really put it on my personal page, but I don't put it on my political page. And even I was at Necronomicon last week, and I think somebody might have put a moratorium on talking about politics, because a lot of people would kind of bring it up sideways, like, we're not supposed to talk about this, and then they would talk about it anyway.
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, don't nuke yourself, because you don't know. You can guess what side someone's on, but if you're wrong, you just lost a customer. And you're in the vendor room and you're bringing up politics, you could have just lost yourself a customer if you guess wrong what side they're on. Yeah. And I'd rather not do that.
You can end your career before you even get started, because I'm too new.
I'm too new at this to nuke myself.
I'm the same way. Even as a YouTube career, I've only been doing this for a little bit over a year. I say shit, but at the same time, I never ever talk badly about groups of people or say anything 100% offensive. Yes, it's a little shocky, some of the shit I say, but yeah, I don't do that, because it's so easy. It's so easy right now to just be done.
Yeah. Yep. You say the wrong thing. It's bad enough that I don't know what I might have said 20 years ago that's still on the internet.
Yeah.
That could be tracked down. Who knows? Who knows what's out there waiting to bite me in the butt? You know what I mean? But I'm trying not to say anything bad now.
Even if you say the wrong pronoun, you could be done. Like, that's why I ask, because I assume that, I don't know. But all right, so let's shoot over to your other anthology, which is Necronomy Rom-Com.
Necronomicon Rom-Com, right.
Necronomicon Rom-Com.
Right. Basically, it's the Necronomicon from from the Cthulhu mythos mashed together with the idea of a rom-com.
Now, what
So
gave you
it's
the inspiration for this?
literally, I was walking down the back hallway over here of my house, and you know that little voice in your head? The little voice in my head said that. It said, Necronama rom-com. And then it was quiet, and I kept walking, and I said, wow, wouldn't that be a fun anthology to read? And then I stopped and said, maybe I should do it. And then I said, no, I don't have enough experience to do it. And then I did it anyway. It took me 2 years because I didn't know what I was doing, but now I'm good at it. Well, better at it.
So tell us about some of the stories that we will see in this anthology series.
Oh, God. Like, the stories are just all over the place. The stories in what I call the Delightful Light volume, the volume with the white cover, those are the stories with the happier ending, because, I mean, this is tentacled monsters from outer space kind of thing. Those are the ones where the couple kind of stays together and it's kind of lighter and fluffier and the world mostly doesn't blow up and the dog lives. Those are the kind of stories that are in that half. And I've read the story so many times, I don't know offhand what is in. I should have had a copy right next to me. I'm sorry.
You're fine.
But they're like light and fluffy. The other one, the dark one, which I call the frightful dark one, is the one where maybe the couple doesn't end up together. Unfortunately, the dog does die. The world does end. But there's still, you know, that hint of romance. You know, for instance, one of the ones with the chair is about somebody falling in love with a creature from beyond and wanting to experience physical love with them. So they take all of these crazy classes at community college to figure out how to build this insane chair so that they can lay together and embrace and they don't get stung by any of the other worldly creatures' tentacles. Right? So it's a chair and they like arrange their lover in the chair in such a way that they can hug each other, and then they're like, the next stage I think was kissing. And they were going to build another chair so they could kiss. You know? So it was just, you know, put the protrusion here and the tentacle here and put the other knob thing through there, and it was just completely goofy. You know, and then there's like people who accidentally like open up a portal that turned into like an interstellar dating site where like somebody came through who was like looking for a date.
Nice.
You know, where like somebody's put a spell book online on Instagram, like the scanned in pages, so that the wrong person like summoned a deity who ended up going on like a Tinder date with a woman and having sex with her while all of the other people were frantically running around trying to find him. And he's like out on a Tinder date, but he's actually like this being from beyond who's like this vast being crammed into like a human body for a night out on a Tinder date. So it's like that kind of like absurd things.
All right, Bert, I'm grabbing a copy of this one. I'm grabbing a copy of this one. It sounds right up my alley.
Yeah, so it's you know, there's like a woman who tries to get one of Shub-Niggurath's deep ones as a pet for her son, but instead falls in love with the woman at the pet store. And they go off together.
Love it. So when you were reading some of these stories, were you laughing your head off?
Yes, I was laughing my head off. And sometimes I would like call my husband in. Like there's the other chair one has like, it takes place at Miskatonic University and it has a deep one. And I was like, honey, someone wrote me a fuck chair story with a deep one in it. And he's like, you're buying that, right? And I'm like, well, yeah, because I love deep ones. And he's like, do they know you? And I'm like, They do now.
I
Like they
love
pushed
it.
all my buttons with that one. So, like I would get like a really good story and I would like immediately be telling my husband about it. Like, I'm putting this one on the list. Like, this one's really good. There's like this other like absurd story where like this guy turns into a spire, but he's still human, but people go inside of him. And then this other guy's wife is like making cookies out of eyeballs and the eyeballs are crying. And the story is so funny that I can't even read it without like laughing until I cry. And like I actually put it as the last story in the book because it's so good, because the first and last stories are the two best ones. Like, I love that story so much. Like,
Isn't
and
it?
it's just about how he loves his wife even though she turns into a monster.
But one good thing about your job is too that you put a casting call and you get all these stories and you're getting to introduce yourself to amazing authors with notes that you've never heard
Right.
of, and they're sending you some great stories.
And then what I do, which I don't know if, I mean, I'm winging it on this. I do, everybody who's accepted, I make a private Discord channel and we all hang out in that Discord channel for
Nice.
we're still all hanging out like in the Discord channels. So, we build like a nice relationship where I'm constantly updating them. What's going on with the book. It's I'm done editing all the stories and now they're going to get paid and now it's going to the proofreader or now it's going to my friend to do the layout, and they get like kind of up to the minute things, whereas the people who choose not to join the Discord just get kind of like very broad emails. They don't get like the up to the minute. And then they become like really close friends of mine. And then we're like also telling each other like, oh, I heard of this other call, or, so it's like a nice little community that they get to be part of, and they talk me up on other forums, and they'll be like, hey, if you ever get a chance to work with her because she treats you so well.
That must be an amazing
And
feeling.
my authors love me, and that makes me feel really good as a new budding, anthology editor. People say, oh my God, you have to work with Bert if you get a chance to submit to her and she takes your story. She is awesome. She edits your story so well. She makes your story so good. And she just treats you so well. I give all the authors presents as well as author copies, and I pay them. Some people only give author copies. Some people only pay, and I let them buy author copies to sell. So people are like, no one even does that anymore. They're like, we can't believe you're doing all that for us. So I'm like trying to be as professional as I can with my little tiny Bert budget.
Now, Bert, it's scary out there right now for indie, especially new indie authors. What is some advice that you can give them when it comes to not only submitting your stories, but also choosing a publisher or a small press?
I would look at other things that they've done. I would look at the covers. And if you could look inside the book, does the cover look professional? Does the inside of the book look professional? My friend came over and he had just had 2 or 3 poems put in an anthology, and he was so happy, and he brought it over and he was like, here's my poems. And the book was a disaster. Like the whole book, it looked like someone had put it together with their feet. I mean, the layout was terrible. The front cover, I wanted to cry for him because he was so proud of being in this anthology, and it was horrible. And he didn't get even paid for it. And the person who put it together had no pride in their work. Do you know what I mean? And you need to look at that. You need to look at that. And you need to look, if somebody's putting out books and the covers are terrible, do you want your cover to be terrible? No one's going to buy a book with a terrible, terrible cover. You know, is the cover AI garbage? Is the cover misspelled? I once put out a misspelled cover.
Yeah.
It's a collector's item now.
I would say, how did that happen?
On the spine. We never looked at the spine.
Oh.
The spine was misspelled. Like, we checked everything else. We never looked at the spine. And then I was at a book thing, and we had them all stacked up, and my friend was like, you do know your spine is misspelled. And I was like, you're fucking shitting me. And he's like, no, look at it. And I had like 10 of them there. So I took a marker, and I fixed it. It was misletter.
Oh.
And then I went home and I called my proofreader, and she was like, you're not serious. And I'm like, I'm serious. And I sent her a picture, and she's like, how did we miss that? And I'm like, we never look at the spine.
No.
Of course I spelled the book cover correct, the book title correctly on the spine. I was selling them on Amazon with the spine misspelled. So when you put it on the bookshelf, it was spelled wrong.
Oh. Now, did anybody ever like put a review in and said the book is spelled wrong? Okay,
no one noticed. Then I fixed them all that I had with magic marker, and I went home and I fixed the cover and sent it right into Amazon.
But I see a lot of books are being put out with the AI book covers, and they look horrible.
Yeah, I mean, I think AI will probably get better, and it won't be so bad. But right now, I mean, there's probably ways to spruce it up, like if you're good at Photoshop or whatever. But there's better ways to make covers. You know, you can pay someone a couple $100 to do a cover, or you can buy pre-made art for a lot less. You got to budget for a decent cover, and if you're going to a publisher who's paying you for your book and they're not budgeting for a decent cover, I wouldn't sell my book to them.
Yeah.
Because if they're not doing that, then are they editing your book correctly? Are they going to market your book correctly? I mean, I hate to say like, oh, appearances, but I think with books, if someone's walking by your book in the bookstore or walking by your book at a book fair, they have 2 seconds to look at the cover of your book. Right?
I'm telling you right now. I mean, as someone who's not an author and someone who buys books, like I'm gonna show you an example. Like I was at a horror convention, and I saw this book cover, and it fucking impressed me. And I was like, I don't even know what this is.
I published those. Those people are in Necronama Rom-Com.
Really?
They wrote me a story. Yes.
I met them at a horror convention recently. Nice guys.
Nice people. You know what? Hold on. I'm going to come right back. Okay. I'm going to get you Necronama Rom-Com so you can see the cover. It's right here. I want you to see. It's going to be backwards, I think, but...
Ooh, I like that.
So this is the combined hardcover that has the light and dark.
Nice. See, I like that.
It's hard because I got it blurred.
Yeah, right there. See, I like that.
So,
but a book cover is so... I'm talking about for someone who's not an author... And like someone like me, if I'm walking through a horror convention and you're an author, and the first thing I look at is your book cover. If your book cover draws me in, I'm coming over. I'm like, what is this? And 9 out of 10 times, I'm going to buy your book. I mean, it's so important.
Right. When I was just selling this book right here at Necronomicon, I wasn't at the table the whole time, but the people who were, they said between the title and the awesome cover, this book was the #1 seller at the table. And this is a hardcover. People were shelling out $30 for this. I had it on sale.
Wow.
Because the cover's awesome. And I mean, my cover designer was just over the moon to hear how much people love this cover.
I 100% believe it. I mean, especially like I said, I go to horror conventions for the channel, and I do walk there. I try to support as many indie authors as I can. And like I'll say, okay, I'm gonna buy 4 books at this convention, and it's literally there's 2 things well, 3 things: the book title, the cover, and the author. If the author is friendly and inviting me over, say, hey, come on over, let me tell you about my book and so forth, I'm more likely to purchase their book and also give them a plug on my channel, because I mean, those are 3 things. By the way, any horror authors, if you want to know, if you're at a horror convention, be inviting, be friendly to anybody who even looks at your table, because they're going to come by. Don't play with your phone. Don't look depressed. Don't look friendly and inviting. And if somebody gives you eye contact, you say hi to them, you say something, and 9 out of 10 times, I'm going to come over to your table and see what your book's about.
Definitely. Yeah, I usually am at a table with a bunch of people, so there's like 4 or 5 of us all selling our books, so we kind of bring people over as a group, which maybe is a little intimidating, but...
Yeah. Because then I would feel bad, too. Let's say if there was 4 authors at one table, I would feel bad if I bought 3 of the authors' books and then buy the other ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, that's hard. That's hard, too. But, like, some of the conventions, like, we're doing Connecticut Horror Fest in a few weeks. It's not cost-effective to get a table for yourself.
Yeah.
You know, we're sharing it. I don't even know. 6 or 8 of us are sharing it and kind of rotating in and out and leaving our books there. And only some of us are going to be there at any given time, but all of our books are going to be there because that's the only way we can afford to be there. And same thing with Necronomicon. We split the table, have our books there all weekend, and rotate in and out of physically being there while we take turns enjoying the convention. You know, sometimes that's at a big con like that. You can't.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Unless somebody knows you, you're not going to make back a $1,200 table.
True.
Because $1,200 table, you got to sell $3,000 worth of books, and that's really not feasible for an unknown person.
Now, why do you think horror cons are getting so outrageously expensive? I mean, I just went to one in North Carolina this past weekend that I did a video, and oh my goodness, it was $55. I mean, this is just me coming in. It was $55 for a ticket, and like, so I can only imagine how much the poor vendors were paying.
Yeah, it's hundreds and hundreds of dollars a day to vend at these. I hate to say COVID because then it's getting political, but I have been vending not just books but other things for 15 years. The cost of vending spiked so high after that big 2020 hiatus. We used to pay $20 to $40 for a 6-foot table. You cannot get a table for that price anymore. The lowest price you're going to get a 6-foot table at an event for now is $75 to $80. The days of $25 tables are gone. So that means, and to make table means twice what you paid for the table. So when you used to have to make $50 to pay for your $25 table, now for your $75 table, you have to make $150 to break even.
That's crazy.
Okay, so now it's really just, you know, do I even want to go to this place? Because I have to make $150 to break even. So before I'm even, and that's basically I'm not making any money at $150. I'm not making, that's me sitting there all day, not making any money, not writing anything, however far I had to drive to be there, sitting there for 8 hours behind a table. So you have to take all that into consideration. Do I think that I can go to this place, $600, that's 60 books. Do I think I can go to this place and sell 60 books? I look at what the place is. Probably I'm not going to sell 60 books there. So guess what? I'm not even going to buy a table there. So then they look, we're not selling tables. We got to get back our price for buying this venue. They're going to jack the tables up now to $100. Do you see? So it just gets worse and worse.
Because I go to a lot. I was telling somebody this recently, like when I was at the Mad Monster, which I can imagine how much tables were there, but I saw individuals selling like trinkets. You know what I mean? Like $5 little things, and I was like looking like, okay, this person probably done dropped at least $600 to $1,000 for a table at Mad Monster party, and I'm like, how many other little $5 little things are you going to sell in a weekend?
You'd be surprised. Some of those people make, that's what I used to sell a lot of. I used to make and sell small pieces of jewelry. You can fit a lot on your table, and if you keep replenishing, but you've got to make $1,000 or $2,000 worth of inventory to bring, and if you run out, you're screwed.
Yeah.
You know? I almost ran out of these at Necro. I came home with 2 left at Necronomicon. Because we had a flood at our house 2 days before. I couldn't get books. I couldn't get, Amazon's terrible with author copies. I couldn't get more books in time. So, yeah, I had to go with what stock I could save from the flood. And that was all I had.
Now, are you doing any cons in the Maryland area soon?
No, I don't usually do anything outside of Connecticut for tax reasons. Okay. The ones I do some with a group I belong to where they pay the taxes that are out of state. I only have a Connecticut tax ID, and I don't fudge taxes. Some people fudge taxes. I won't do it. I have an LLC, and I do everything above the board.
But you will be at Stoker Con next year.
Oh, well, yeah, because it's in Stamford.
Exactly.
My branch of HWA is hosting it. We're putting it together.
I love it. I love it. I will be there as well. There.
Excellent. So we'll get to meet. You'll have to come find me. I already have my hotel room. And,
I gotta go. I gotta start booking myself soon because I actually interviewed a author from Virginia, which is not that far from me, and she was telling me right now booking trains to come from this side of town to up to Connecticut, it's pretty inexpensive right now. So I gotta go ahead and jump and do that right now. So
the train station is right there. The problem is the hotel has been sold out, so you got to keep trying to get your hotel room. They sold the convention block out like immediately. They opened another block that sold out immediately. So you can either buy a non-convention block room for full price, or you can wait and
hopefully they open up
buy more. The problem is there's no hotel within walking distance. My husband works in Stamford. There's no other hotel within walking distance, so you would have to get another hotel and drive there, and I'm not sure of what the parking is. Yeah. If you drive there, if there would be enough parking for everyone to come from other hotels.
It's going to be insane, but I think it's going to be fun.
Yeah. They said that they were really surprised at how many tickets they sold immediately based on how many people went to San Diego. They sold like more tickets immediately for Stanford than they sold completely for San Diego. And it's still a year out. Wow.
That's insane. So, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I am too, because I had thought about going to it. I think it was like in Pittsburgh a couple years ago. And I thought about going to that. And then I ended up, my husband went to Oh, what's that big role-playing one in Indianapolis? He went to that one instead. Gen Con.
Okay, Gen Con, okay.
Yeah, he's a gamer. He went to Gen Con that year, and I was like, we don't have the money to go to both. So I let him go to Gen Con, but we go to Necronomicon every other year. We go to some little local cons, but I'm like, next year, Stoker Con. I'm like, the year after that, you can go to Gen Con again. Because he's coming to Stoker Con with me.
Love it. Love it.
So,
and
yeah.
I look forward to seeing you and all. By the way, people probably think I'm some kind of ghost or something because I show up at conventions all the time, but no one ever sees me there. I do my little walkthrough videos, and everybody's like, well, I was there that time. How come I didn't see you? Listen, everybody, I'm a real person. I'm there. I'm wearing my horror room t-shirt. I don't know how I miss everyone. So, listen, StokerCon, listen, I'm pretty sure it's going to be impossible to miss me. So, but I'm hoping to see everyone there.
I'm supposed to working in the vendor room. That's going to be like my assignment. So far, it's not set in stone yet. So if I'm anywhere, that's where I'll be. So we're still, like I said, we're still hashing everything out. I'm waiting to go to the next meeting behind the scenes for StokerCon. Because like I said, because we're the Connecticut group. So we're the ones, doing all the behind the scenes and whatnot.
Sounds good.
Well, our little tiny Connecticut group with like 30 people.
Yes. Well, so Bert, where can everyone find you?
You can find me on Facebook at Facebook/Guevara Piedmont. My publishing company is Facebook/ Transformations by OB for Transformations by Obsidian Butterfly. And on Instagram, I am the only Miss Burt. Spelled out like that because someone else had Miss Burt, and I won't stand for that. I have a Twitter X account, which is at Miss Burt. I'm not there very often, but once in a while. So, pretty much Facebook is where I am the most, followed by Instagram, and then my Threads? Threads is the same as it's the only Miss Burt as well. So those are the best places to find me, and yeah. My next book, I have a trilogy that's paranormal investigation called The Contrary Crow Cast, about a one-armed lady named Mickey Crow, and the third one is going to hit in September. It's called Metal, so look for that. The first one is Shiver, which is about mermaids that are half shark, and the second one is called Formless, which is about shoggoths, and Metal is about killer battlebots that are shaped like spiders. Yeah, it's very excellently fun.
Nice.
And then my next anthology, which I'm working on now, is Atlas of Deep Ones, which is all stories about deep ones all across the world and through time. That should be out, I think, sometime next year. We're still reading the stories and picking them, so that'll be a little while. And then I'll be doing another Yankee Scares Connecticut one.
Well, Bert, you're more than welcome to come on my show anytime to plug anything.
Excellent. I enjoyed talking to you, and I have a lot of friends who would love to come on your show, too.
Send them my way. Send them my way.
I will.
Listen, everyone, down in the links, grab your copies of her work, and I will as well. And listen, everyone, thank you for coming to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and that's Bert Piedmont.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Have a nice day. Bye-bye.